City. BP.
Absolutely.
Hi, it's good to see you again.
All right, it's 4 o'clock. A little after 4. Mr. Chair will call the Macon County Airport Authority meeting to order for May the 27th. I want to welcome everyone here today for our meeting, and we have some new faces here today, and we appreciate you gentlemen for driving up here from Charlotte to be with us. I think everybody here, I know David knows, most everybody knows me, I hope. I think so. But this is David Peter, he's the president of WK Dixon. And we have with us, it's going to be taking Eric's place. Eric is no longer going to be, not going to be with us anymore.
I'm Jimmy Luther.
Jimmy Luther. And then we have Greg Kershaw sitting over here against the wall. So we're glad to have you gentlemen with us today.
Thank you.
And Jim's going to be taking Eric's place, my understanding. Is that right?
That's correct.
That's correct, okay. Well, you've got some big shoes to fill. I know you do. You've been with WK Dixon how many years?
29 years.
29 years. Looking forward to a great retirement, I'm sure.
Not anytime soon. Miles, if you don't mind, let me
You
just.
go right ahead before we approve the minutes. You can say whatever you want to say.
Okay. We, of course, y'all have seen me off and on for the last almost 30 years
Yeah.
here. So I've always been in the background, but when Eric decided to leave and go somewhere else, I picked probably the fellow that would do the very best job, and that's Jimmy. And quite frankly, Jimmy's been with us, as you said, 29 years, but he was with me for 5 years before that. So you won't find a better, more seasoned engineer and somebody to pick up the ball and run with it. And he isn't going anywhere, I can shoot. So I would like to, have you all feel comfortable. Jimmy's going to pick it up and run without missing a beat. And I'm going to be behind the scenes with him, helping him. And actually, Greg, who's been with us 12 years, he's the one that's been doing a lot of the design work anyway. So, I mean, nothing's changed other than the fact that Eric has come out of the picture and decided to move on to what he thinks is a good opportunity, and we wish him the best. So we are wanting to assure you that keep business as usual, and we'll continue to hopefully like us like you always have.
Well, I'm sure we've always had good relations for as long as I can remember. We go back a long way, especially now. And we appreciate the work that WK has done for Macon County Airport Authority. Other jobs, I guess, here in Macon County, you've done some work for the town, I understand. So anyway, we're looking forward to working with you, and we hope that things are still run along as smooth as they have been. I'm sure they will. And we do miss Eric. I'll be very candid about it. We were very, I don't know the correct word to use, but we was really disappointed that he had left us, because he is a good man to work with. And we enjoyed working with him, and he was on the ball when we needed something. He get it for us. And so, but I'm sure you'll take over where he's leaving off, and we'll keep on trucking.
Well, our aviation group is a small group there in the office, so we're all familiar with your projects, and we kind of work together. Eric was your point of contact. I'll be your primary point of contact now, and Greg and Crystal Freeberg as well, another engineer in the office. I think Pete knows Crystal pretty well. We work on the airport, work on the projects, so I think it'll be a pretty smooth transition.
Okay, we're glad to have also with us Macon County News.org.
Macon Media.
Macon Media. Okay. Bobby Collins. And then we have Ryan Honeycutt over here from Franklin Press. And we're glad to have both of you here with us this afternoon. So we're going to go ahead and get started here and get our minutes approved from the April 27th meeting. Almost a month. All right, yeah. Good motion. You make a motion the minutes be approved. It's made. All right. You're second.
I'll second it.
All right. So, all in favor say aye. Aye. Minutes are approved as mailed. Thanks again, Teresa, for getting the minutes out to us and our agenda on time. She's been down at beach for
Santa Rosa.
well-deserved vacation.
I told Eric amongst other people in Kentucky used to this. They were like 2 weeks early.
So, Jim, you'll be working a lot with Teresa. She's our secretary for the airport authority.
Right, Eric's.
And I tell you, if you want to know something, if you want to know something, she can answer it. She'll give you the answer to any question you have. And she knows these grants backwards and forwards. So her, Nancy Seeger works very good together. So.
Nancy's my son friends. Right.
Is she?
Yes. Yes.
She's thinking about us. So.
Oh, you know she is.
All right. Nobody here from the public to make any comments, I suppose. And of course, the first item on our agenda was we have a recognized schedule for bringing us up to date on the airport runway widening project. Jim, if you want to take over there and kind of give us the status report, if you would please, on how we're doing with that project.
It's currently going very well. They're in the widening stage now. You notice some piles of dirt out there, but the milling machine's been going along, widening 12.5 feet on either side, backfilling that with stone. In a couple of areas, we've hit some yielding material, so they've undercut a little deeper, but been able to put down some yielding fabric and backfill it with stone. The whole length of the runway now is pretty much loose stone. They'll come back and start a setup process here probably next week. They should finish the milling and the widening excavation tonight is the schedule that will get rained out. And then they'll start doing the stone setup and hopefully paving around the week of the 15th is what we're looking at.
That's good.
Everything seems to be going well. We started a crack seal process here a couple of weeks ago. I was out here one night with Robbie and kept getting a lot of water just percolating up through the surface, so we had to abandon that idea as far as being able to do that crack sealing in that method because it wasn't bonded. We made a proposal to the contractor, and we're in discussions now to look at a different approach to that. So we haven't had any feedback from them yet. We submitted them those specifications. We're looking at a surface treatment, which is no more than basically liquid asphalt and stone put down first and make sure we can try to bridge these cracks before we actually do the other. All of that is part of the paving operation. Other than that, we haven't had any issues. Not really, like I said, had a few rain showers here last week. I think the week that we tried to start doing some of the joint milling, we had about 10 inches of rain the week before, so kind of compounded the fact we're having some leaning through the.
This time frame still looks pretty good. We're going to be able to get the project done on time.
Yes, we think things seem to be right now. It's good.
Good, good. Now, you have any questions?
When you had to dig a little deeper, you didn't have any problems with skeletons?
No. And that's good you bring that up because I understand that when we do the outside edge drain work, which will be done with a trencher, that we have to have an on-site archaeologist that the county already has on contract, TRC Consulting. So we'll notify them and they'll be out here. Basically, they've already given us some guidelines as what to look for, what they'll be looking for as far as whether it stops work or not. But my understanding is if it's not some type of human remains, it's just an artifact. We're going to document it, map where it is. And
We're not going to be running any.
Right. We're not going to be that deep.
I think you're just being facetious.
I think we're already,
That's way above.
Yeah.
We've already cut down in 8 feet down.
But we still, further regulation.
you keep an engineer on site all the time.
Yes, we have a full-time resident.
Okay, very good. Let's move down into the next agenda item. I'll take that one. We've had some, how shall I say it? Some 2 or 3 people that's been wanting to cut the hay off the runway area on the south side and on the north side. And this bottom back here, and also out here in front of the terminal. And we've said a whole lot about it. We've had in the past. a couple of people that's cut the hay, and they were slow about getting the bales off the runway. I mean, the runway area, not the runway.
This woman,
Area, that's the north side of the runway.
name of her,
So we've had some complaints about that.
the question
We have one gentleman that's offered to cut the hay this year. And I guess it's getting pretty close to being ready to cut again in some areas. That is a friend to Mrs. Ramsey, who lives right back here on the hill. Miss Margaret Ramsey. She says he'll do a great job. His name is Oakland. And so I told her that I would bring it up to the board this afternoon and see what consensus we can come up with as to well, I'll let him go ahead and cut this year, give him a chance. I'm sure he needs the hay, and I understand that certainly would make Ms. Ramsey happy, and we want to keep her happy if we can. She's been married properties with us over the years. She was our board. So it would be my recommendation that you all see fit, as far as I'm concerned, let it happen for this year. Keep the train.
Does the airport authority get anything out of it?
No. We don't get anything out of that. We just get the grass cut, basically.
Now you're talking about up to the runway on each side.
Everything is cut.
Everything, yeah, everything he cut,
So he's gonna get around the lights and stuff once it's light.
yeah, well,
He won't get that
He won't
close.
get that close, no. We've got a machine that takes care of that area.
I would say let him do it.
Okay, I mean, I think we should.
He should fertilize it up here.
I don't think he will fertilize it. No, the more hay he gets, fertilizer expensive. So I think we just
He
let
cut
him.
my hay.
What?
Cut my hay.
Does he?
Used to. But anyway.
So, I mean, I'm just, that's my take on it. If, he would be glad to come meet with us, and talk with us if anybody wants to ask any questions. But I think right now, it's getting to the point in time where we need to cut the
Well,
grass.
good cut and haul off.
So, hold on. And he
That's
promised,
amazing.
No
he
way.
promised through his consultant that he would get it off. So, we'll hold him to that. So if it's,
Won't do it next time, do it this time.
well, that's what I'll tell him. So I guess it'd be good to go ahead for the record and have a motion to that effect. Counselor?
yeah, I think so.
All right, Pete,
I'll make a motion.
all right. Have a second? Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And so I'll contact him and tell him, get his machine ready, and keep going, get this grass cut.
I'll contact Brown and let him know.
Yeah, if you would, please, yeah. Okay, Member Jenkins is not able to be here today, he's sick, and so he was gonna talk to us about the advertising proposal that was presented to the board sometime back, a couple of months ago. And he has asked Tony Angel to assist him and Ms. Owens in getting a proposal for us to consider. But right, as of today, we do not have that from him, but he said he'd certainly get with Tony Angel this next few days, and also Ms. Owens, and they would have a proposal ready for us to consider at our next meeting. So we'll I guess we'll just have to wait to see what they come up with. It needs to be a situation needs to be addressed, either yes or no, one way or the other. So I will work on that as well this next few days. All right, Mr. Haycock, grounds maintenance report. Can you share anything with
Well,
the
county continues to the ground, and we're doing a little cutting out with various people out front. As far as maintenance goes, our budget we're at 92% expended. We got 8%, no, on our total budget. We're over, you know, we're at 92% and we got another month to go. So we're pushing the envelope. Our maintenance comes out of, which we have left, which probably gonna have to give that money back for the propane that we ran over. We're over $3,000 here. Kind of wiped out that budget. So we're gonna be all right. I think we're gonna zero it out, but we don't have any extra money to spend until next budget year.
I'm tempted to ask what happened. We were operating on a shoestring budget.
Well, we keep adding things, but we're not getting any more money. And things keep going up, and we're not getting any more money.
Did we ask for enough money?
We asked for enough, but we got zero.
We didn't get what we asked for.
That's exactly right.
That does bring a lot more discussion.
So we're glad you're here.
It's hard to ride the train without a ticket, I'll tell you.
I don't know if anything has gone down in the last 5 years.
All right, maybe.
That's all I've got on it. Right now, you know.
Maybe Mr. Hoppy will help us out a little bit on that. He's the only one making money right now that, you know, this, all the traffic company, that's a good thing. Well, we're getting the grass mowed, right?
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. I mowed some the other day, just be down here to, my daughter mowed 2 hours.
Well, we appreciate you
Good
doing
training
that.
for it.
Yeah, that's good. We appreciate you doing that, Pete. You do a lot of work now.
I'm waiting for Harold to get back, but I don't know if he'll be
Harold's
back.
not- Harold,
Be mowing
Appreciate
grass.
not here today. Harold is not doing good right now.
Yeah, I know he-
He's got some problems, health wise. So for the minutes you make a note that he and Dick both are under the weather today.
Is that it? You guys?
No, I've got some other
Okay.
stuff here
Okay.
for us to consider. Other business. Neil, you have anything? that we need
Just
to
what we
consider?
discussed about that fuel fitting.
Okay, now which fuel pump is that?
It's for the
That's one out here in
Jet
front.
A, the Jet A fuel. right
Jet
there,
A, okay.
Where, you know, the plumbing comes from the
Yeah.
tank underground and then comes up
Okay.
over here.
That's the county's? Is that the county's responsibility?
If I could get Southern Pump and Tank, but I haven't been able to get any action out of them. This is really a minor repair, just having the right tools
Just right
and
to
seals
do
to
it
do
with.
it.
Okay. Well, I did notify Steve about an hour and a half ago.
With his workload, I would expect they'll probably be
So
here. tomorrow.
he's aware of it, so maybe you get down here and get taken care of.
Yeah, and I've told
The
my
dates.
guys here, you know, to expect them.
Okay. All right, very good. So everything else otherwise is going good?
Things going fine.
Okay. All right, we have a request from one of our tenants, Mr. Drake, has requested that in lieu of, I guess, not having the money to help finish the section between his hangar and the ramp area, which at one time, it's a long story. So I'm going to ask our attorney, which is involved in this get-go in negotiation with Mr. Drake, if he would kind of lay the groundwork for him.
Well, we've recently, the authority and Drake Enterprises would fund the building of a substantial hangar in return for some rent abatements for a number of years to kind of offset his cost of construction. He desires to park his planes here rather than Andrews. To be advantageous to the county, and most all concerned that he does that. There was a thought process that in connection with their most recent project in the paving, that the work could be done which would get the concrete up real close to his hangar. and all, and the timing didn't allow that to be done because of the construction schedules and what had to be done. So it turns out there's around, I'm going to say, depends on the estimates, but between $20,000 to $30,000 worth of extra cost that are going to be incurred by Drake Enterprises. That number one, it was not a real clear term in the lease, and there was by both sides no real overt discussion about it, but it was apparent after speaking with Mr. Drake and some of his folks that they had really anticipated getting the advantage of having some paving done, of which would have abated their cost by between $20,000 and $30,000. They know that the authority has no money independently to do it. They felt like it was part of their bargain. We're not really sure what it was. This has been a lot of good faith, and we want to keep it that way. But we had a meeting, and there was some discussion about a way just to put it to bed would be possibly to add 1 year to the end of their lease that they have. It's a long-term lease. How many years is it? 20-year lease, and that was discussed at a lunch meeting. It seemed to have been met with pretty much approval around the table as some way to be some modest recognition that there was that at least Drake felt like they were not getting all that what they hoped they had bargained for, but understanding that the real remedies are fewer in this situation than may be in others. So I believe that the board, in good faith, if they were to consider a recommendation that be done, I believe it could be drawn up and then presented for signing and probably go ahead and, I mean, it's not a matter that's really brewing under the surface even, but it's there. So then and we're talking about it and all, and it certainly, I think, if that's what we're talking about, another 5% extension on the lease for a project like this, I would recommend it if we go ahead and put the matter to bed.
Yeah.
So really, the proposal would be that we would modify the lease and that in exchange for any further obligations, not saying that the authority actually had that obligation, but basically a release of any claim for any damages because of that, then it would extend their lease by a period of 1 calendar year, something to that effect.
I think that's probably the least that we can do. We, as our council has explained, it kind of, there's no one at fault here in this way this thing developed over a period of time, and it just caught everybody, where we didn't have the money to do anything with it, and it certainly, Mr. Drake was under the impression maybe that the airport authority, when they're doing the ramp area, would extend the ramp area. It's like 18 feet that we've got. There's a gap between the hangar and the ramp area. It's basically not paved. And at the time, as our council has explained, we had to do an ORI study because it was in the floodway area. And that took some time, and that's what, it's just so many things that was involved that is nobody's fault, but if this, I think if we can satisfy Mr. Drake, which is one of our outstanding men here in Macon County, and he has, I guess, close to 700 employees right now on board here in Macon County. If we, if we can, that's part of the least we can do.
I think it's reasonable.
And if he's happy with that, council, I would vote for it and say,
We need to put that in motion.
Yeah. Your motion.
I'll make a motion in that effect.
any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
I'll draw.
Okay, if you'll go ahead, Councilor, and take care of that, we'll be glad to sign it, and I think I'll make him happy. Maybe not as happy as he would be otherwise, but at least he'll get something. Okay. Is there any other business we need to take care of?
Just want to insert in the record that Jimmy Capps from Department of North Carolina Aviation works under the The FAA came out, did the evaluation, 3-year evaluation on the airport, and he checks all the information that comes in the airport, the type of aircraft, who's based here, runway length, and anything that has to do with anything published for the Macon County Airport. He told us how to upgrade it, make sure it's done on a reasonable basis. So it's just data that they have to collect. So he came Monday. It's Monday. Holiday. So our government's working on the holidays now. So that's interesting.
He sent me an email and said he's going to be here on Monday, and I replied to him. I said, "Look, we don't get paid double time for working on holidays." I didn't hear back from him, so I'm glad he came.
Yeah, he was out here, he tried to get in here on Saturday, but he couldn't get in because of the weather. He came over, had to fly to Greer, then he drove over here. Then he went to Jackson County and then out to Andrews. So he got everything done. He was happy. So he said everything looked good. He said,
Well, that's good.
it's got to be done once every 3 years, I think. They said if you don't.
Thank you for meeting with him.
That was a short period of waiting for him. It took so long. 2 days waiting for him. But anyway, he said, when you upgrade, if you get single point fueling, he said that's something you want to put in there. So, it's going to be published. Those things help you out. He said, everything looks good.
So I might ask David here. He's a man with all kind of good connections as far as getting grants and that sort of thing is concerned, and been a tremendous asset to this airport. What is a possibility, David, of getting money to put in a single point fueling? So either buy trucks or put permanent in, or whatever. Any way we get it done.
It's possible, Miles. The only issue is down the priority list. So when you're in that competitive position to, look at that versus some other safety and capacity related items that usually rank as lower, it is eligible in non-primary entitlement money. The $150 that you get each year is a way to do it if you wanted it faster, yes. But a lot of it depends on Jet A traffic coming in. Have they asked for it?
Yes.
Neil, have they asked for the single point fueling on the Jet A?
More and more,
Yeah.
more and more.
Okay.
The newer models that have come out in the last 5 to 7 years, they're all coming out with single point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, the corporate guys, the pilots, particularly in the self-serve facility, they won't, insurance regulations won't let the pilots self-fuel a single point system.
That's correct.
Yeah.
In fact, they won't even fuel over a wing.
Right.
And we do that.
That's the reason I ask you. If the demand is there, that's certainly enough justification.
Well, from the information we get from Neil, the demand is.
Well, what we've
here and growing.
experienced since the runway extension, we're getting more and more jet traffic in here. Consequently, that's why we're getting more and more requests for single point.
Right. Well, that's your highest volume of fuel sales, so it's definitely worth going back for. As you look at your TIP each year, that's the time to start putting things like that in. And it could be, a mid-year request.
I think we put that in.
Yeah, we put it in Vision 100 money,
Yeah.
and Basil, it's on his radar screen, so.
So he's aware of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one issue we had, that the military came in with Blackhawks.
Yeah.
They have to pump over. When they pump in, they got to pump up and over. But if it's not, they have to do it by hand. They didn't like to do that. But there's a lot of military traffic coming, not a lot, but there's several Blackhawks are coming through here now, and they're refueling because they're doing some activity in this area all the time.
Well, we're seeing your traffic will pick up, your fuel traffic. Particularly if your corporate guys are asking for it, when the word gets out, more and more will come in there. Your fuel prices are good. I would think with the location where you're at, you probably have a good opportunity to make a return on that investment. So the only thing is, if Basil's giving you any reaction, go back to them and kind of ratchet up the pressure a little bit to say, hey, it's really a need that's got to be met.
We have been talking about this for at least a year, I guess, off and on, David, and if you could help us, you and Jim, on this project, we appreciate it, because I think we could be attracting more jets in here if we could have the capacity to, fuel with the single point fuel apparatus. So
We have some folks that regularly visit DOA in Raleigh, and we'll ratchet up that.
okay, we appreciate that very much.
We got two issues that we probably are positive: widening runway, and then with the military traffic. I mean, we probably lost 800 gallons that we couldn't pump, but they didn't top it off, so we have to do it by hand. That's all.
What kind of fuel flows do you have on Jet A a month?
About 5,000 gallons. So we're talking about 60 to 70,000 gallons. Last year, we pumped 80,000 gallons
Yeah.
for the year. Because from month to month, it varies. Wintertime, traffic is down.
Sure.
Summer, spring, fall, it goes ballistic.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll get on it for you.
Okay, one other item on the business, in talking with David earlier on today, he's talking about the project coming up on the taxiway project and the lighting system. And I'm gonna call David, if he would, or Jim, whoever wants to take it, to talk to us about the design work and what we need to do and how we need to proceed with this, getting this project underway and so forth. So David, if you want to address that issue, we'd appreciate it.
Well, this really starts at the point where we were talking about grant monies, like a minute ago. The state has issued an intention to give you a grant for the taxiway, and that's a rehab and both the pavement and the lighting system. So the only thing really needs to be done at a point in the near future is have the county commission commit that local match. Well, what we'd like to go ahead and do is we put a fee amendment together. It's the same one, Eric actually, who put it together, been holding it until the right time for you all to consider it, to do the design work. And this is to go ahead and prepare the bid documents, and much as we did on the runway extension and the runway widening, get it ready for contractors to bid it. And so I have a fee amendment here that we basically took what Eric had put together and just changed the names on everything else in the dates, because a couple of months have gone by. But it would be something we'd like for you to consider, to go ahead and have that much paperwork out of the way. This is a part of that grant, so it'd be shared in at the same ratios as you do for the construction. And actually, we would not do anything on it until the county has committed that local match. So you're not obligated for anything until those grant papers are signed, and basically, we wouldn't start on it until then. But having this out of the way, this would let us go ahead and get it into the schedule, get us prepared and the time slot blocked out, so that when you do say, okay, local match is there, then Mr. Engineer, you go ahead and get started. We're running fast. We don't have to wait for the next authority meeting to take action on it. So we just give that to you for consideration, and it has been done in the same format that we've done all the others.
That's the way we did the last one, I think. Widening of the runway.
We did.
We gave you the go ahead and do that work on that.
And this would be task order number 5, which consists of putting everything into a package ready for the grant to be issued. All the grant requirements that the state has, and then along with the actual design up through the bid. It does not have any construction phase in there. So we won't know that until we know who is actually going to do the work, the contractor that is. And then we come back to you at that point with what time frame there is and how we approach it. Much like Robbie Payne was out there on site each night for the runway widening, we'd have somebody on the taxiway the same way. So it's really putting everything into a grant position to be able to issue a contract award to the contractor. And then at the end of the project, we can close it out. So this task order here takes us up through the bid opening phase, and that's the way the state looks at it now. They want to do it in a two-step process. I give this to you to consider.
Okay.
We'll get that much out of the way if you're willing to do so.
Gary, what do you think about this proposal to go ahead and give WK Dixon the authority to go ahead and do the design work on this project and with the understanding that we have no money right now, but there's some money in the pipeline. And so they're not going to be billing us, if I understand
Well,
what
they're
you're
not
saying.
going to do anything with that.
They're going to be, okay, so you're not going, no, they're not going to do anything until the contract is let.
Right.
But it's going to be in the schedule based on us getting the match money for the grant which had been given to us.
Right.
Subject to getting the local match money.
Right.
That's a $2 million.
Yeah.
$2,250,000.
So,
What about the,
Council, do you,
What timetable are we looking at realistically? When might the actual moons align so that there would be the grant plus the matching by the county? How many months down the road are we looking at?
Well, the state has issued the intent to make the grant.
Right.
So what actually takes place next would be that the county commission would appropriate the local match. And if that needs to be after the new fiscal year, because we're now in the budgeting cycle, it would most likely be probably in early July. Could be in June, depending on how the county commission looks at it from one year fiscal year to the next. But the intent is that they would act to basically agree to match at that 10% ratio. And then that starts everything. What would happen would be, we tell the state, issue the actual grant with the action taken on the county to appropriate the match. When the grant offer comes in, then I guess the county commissioner or the county manager would have the authority to sign the grant offer. And then that means everything's signed, sealed.
It's very, very early, it's at 90 to 120 days.
No, it should be soon. As soon as the county commission would like to act on it.
Of course, they probably wouldn't act until after the 1st of July. Probably not. I've just suggested that Gary's not ready, Pete's not ready, I'm not ready, I guess you've really ready.
other than the same things we had before?
We're down 2 men at our meeting. I just don't see an urgency that we make a decision today on this, in that I don't think it would be advantageous to any of the parties as far as the timing slot goes or whatever. I know that we've had good success with WK Dixon. We tend to look favorably on them, but as just from a business standpoint, I don't see any reason that we would, I don't want to use the word rush, but that we would have at first, I don't think today's the time to take action on it myself. I don't think.
I have a question about it. You said the construction part of it is not included in.
No, the way the state looks at these.
No, I understand what you're saying, but will that be included in, will we get enough grant money
Oh,
to
yeah.
cover that part of it also?
Yes,
So
sir.
we're not going to be
No.
stuck for that?
We don't have anything
Can I
that,
say something, since I work with the grant smiles, do you mind?
No, absolutely.
I agree with Joe, and I know I don't have a vote on this board, but here's why. We still don't have the grant back from the runway widening. They're out there working, we've signed contracts. It's not something that happens in a couple of weeks. I mean, when the DOA gets hold of it, and quite frankly, I think it's too much going on at one time, because right now we're about 4 backed up. And I think that it's just a
That's
whole
all.
lot of grant work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because we're trying to close out 2 or 3 of them and get them finished and complete, little dibs and dabs. We're trying to set up that MPE, this project going on. We don't have the award contract yet. It's just, I mean, so I would ask you to, because, I mean, there's a whole lot going on right now. Let some of that clear out. Because you know as well as I do, the commissioners are not going to consider anything after the 1st of July.
That's true.
I mean, you've said that yourself, that you weren't even going to ask it till then.
Right. It'll be approved budget
So I just say that from my point of view.
So David, what, if I'm understanding, and these are, thanks Teresa, these are good points too.
Thanks for allowing me to.
So the last one we did with you was on the
The construction phase for the
construction
runway.
phase. Why? Okay, we signed the design authorization like a couple of months before we actually signed the contract.
Yeah.
So in essence, would this be the same thing?
We
We
will
would not
do
be obligated
anything.
for a thing in the
You're not
world until
obligated.
the other part of the.
It's only getting part of the paperwork out of the way, that's
So
all.
it just gets part of the paperwork out of the way and puts it on the list for y'all in your work that you do across the state.
One of the things, and I'm glad you said what you did, Teresa, was, I don't know why we're backed up on the grants, but I'm gonna find out. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, if you want me to.
Please.
You know, we ran over on the April rehab.
Right.
And so in order to make that correct, because, you know, we had 2 change orders come in, plus we had WK Dixon that had an increase in their contract. At that time, we had to get another grant to come in and to finish out that piece of it, and it wasn't enough. They gave us the design piece for the apron rehab that we didn't use, because you know how they do that. They issue the letters, and they give you an estimate of what they're going to give you. When the contracts come in, that's what they give you the grant money based on. And that's when the commissioners go in and will vote on those contract amounts, because the DOA won't give, like they might say, we're going to give you $290,000 for the design phase. Probably the only contract we're going to see is WK Dixon. If you all come in and say you're going to do it for $268, then the county commissioners are only going to vote for a match for $268, and that's how the DOA is going to give us. And so when all of that happened with the apron, when we had those change orders, we didn't have the money for them. And so we ended up with 2 change orders, which were necessary, an increase in y'all's to the company, which is also necessary. But what has, you know, there's a log jam, because we pulled a piece of this grant here and got it in place. Then we had to get the NPE set up, and now we've got it in place. And then at the same time, we've got the grant going for the runway extension, which was a totally different grant. And so each time my office had to go in front of the commissioners and ask for match money, and all this, that, and the other. And so it's all there. And it's not so much that it's a log jam, it was just getting some, you know, of these, like Dave Yap is a brand new project manager, and he likes things done this way, whereas Dion Maventi liked them done this way. And, you know, it's just,
Very, very frustrating.
it has been very frustrating.
Yes, it is for us too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
I'm sure it is. And it's, right now, you know, it's just like, right now, the county's not getting their money back.
Right.
So that's what we need. We need to get our request for reimbursement for bills and invoices the county's already paid. We need to get our money back before the commissioners.
The overrun that you referred to was something I had mentioned to you. But we've got a strategy in mind that we can basically be assured we're not going to go back to the county commission and ask for any extra money. So that's something we need to share in a more casual setting at some point, because I want to make sure y'all are on board with what we'd like to approach the DOA with, and how that would be accomplished. So, if you feel uncomfortable about doing this now, again, I was just.
Well, let me ask you this, David, another month, how's that going to affect your time schedule? If we wait another month.
We'll make it work to your schedule. What I was hoping to do is just get these folks committed on a scheduled block out, so that, one, you know, you're ready to pull the trigger in early July when the new fiscal year comes, then can we move fast enough to have this thing bid and get some of the work started before the season's over, and not have to wait till spring next year? That's the only thing.
I can sympathize with, and I know how hard she works on these things, and I know some days she's so frustrated she's almost in tears working on it. But as long as we're not obligated to anything,
You won't be.
I don't see no reason why we just can't go ahead and give the authority to go ahead and just do the design or start the process, whatever. And in the minutes, put in the minutes that we're not obligated to you in any way, shape, form, or fashion, in a monetary way.
Right.
Until we have, then we go the next step. The next step we go is when we get approval from the county commissioners to give us the grant, the
But
match money for the grant.
When you all sign that contract, you are obligated.
It's what's in the contract, otherwise we have to modify the contract.
Yes,
We've got a lot of goodwill with WK Dixon.
yes.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily see that going away anytime soon. However, other than, I just think the safest way is to let a little bit more time pass, let Teresa get a little more comfort feeling as far as how the books go, let the other two members, we're two down today, I think that we owe it a little due diligence on this, just as being an authority appointed members with public money, so to speak. I mean, what the most it would be doing is just what you were really talking about is just a letter of intent more than a contract, but if we sign this, it's a contract, it's not a letter of intent. And I think WK Dixon knows over the course of our dealings is that we intend to try to keep, the stability of a engineering firm such as theirs and all. So I think we'll all be okay if it doesn't get acted on today.
If it would make you feel any better to put a condition in there that says, until the grant is signed and the funds become available, we agree not to do any work and we will not build. We have done that before.
Well, that certainly almost has to be in, even though some other places don't necessarily require it.
Right.
We don't have the authority to commit to pay until such time
I totally
as,
understand.
I know you do that. I know you do that and all. But I certainly don't want to start making oil modifications or something and then let's go ahead and vote on it now to effectively ratify it today. I just don't see, it's not my recommendation that today is the day to take care of this.
Miles, we'll just hold on. It's fine.
Okay.
One of the things I'd like to ask you is, so we can at least go ahead and get it on the schedule, is it the authority's intent to go to the county commission in July to ask for a commitment on that local match?
That would be more reasonable because that would not be concerning any individual engineering firm. That would just be the
It still will be
project.
obligated,
Right.
until we get the okay from the county commissioners, the grant, the match money.
But
Do you see any problem with that?
but still though, if you are suggesting that we vote to adopt this contract.
No, that's all, no.
But what Mr. Taylor is suggesting is that we just go ahead and commit to moving forward with the next project. And that's something that the authority is going to do, period, I would expect.
And that's our objective.
That's our objective, right.
Get that done.
Now, if WK Dixon wants to go ahead and feel comfortable enough based upon that to start assigning their schedules and stuff, then that's your business decision to make. But I don't see a problem in going ahead and voting as a strategy or a future plan to go ahead and go to the commission for their authorization and backing.
What do you think, Jerry?
I think that's a good idea.
Pete?
I think for us, for everybody here today. Just
Okay.
wait.
We're fine.
You fine with that?
You're fine with it.
Okay.
If you would let me have those fee amendments back, what we'll do is this. We're going to work with Teresa to make sure this spaghetti mess of grants, this has been an ever-going issue, hasn't it, from way back?
Yeah, well, no, not so much. We're hitting everything in a real good click. So no, it's actually, it's been fine until just very, last few
Then
months.
Lee Humphrey left and that, and then we had.
He promised
this
some
other
things
guy
that
wanted
he
to do things a little
can
bit differently,
deliver.
so we
And we're finding that out with Basil.
Yeah, the
We're
group.
learning him as learning
Yeah,
us.
Mason's big on documentation. Get all of that. But no, that's really what happened, is what really happened was there was a big misunderstanding between some kind of verbal agreements that didn't get carried on with the new project manager, and then, basically, everything has to be, and so, but we worked through it, and actually, we're right on the verge, we're right there, getting it all cleared up, and I mean,
Well,
it's
that-
close.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, we got it done, but it's just, I would like to see our other, contracting, all that kind of stuff just come through and be record. Awesome. We talked about it during the post.
Right, yeah. So, David, what we'll do then, certainly, our council has given some good advice, and I've learned over the years, sometimes it's best to go with our council's advice. I learned the hard way a few times. So we'll do that, and as soon as we can get a little more information, hopefully this week, maybe next week, everybody gets, when Basil gets his feet on the ground a little better, and if y'all talk to him, and, I mean, we're gonna go with the project plan. I mean, that's a given thing. I mean, it's always been, go back in the record, it's already been voted on. But it's something we're gonna do, but we won't do it right, not be over a barrel.
Well, to put this in perspective, when Eric and Jimmy and I were going through the loose ends, in the handoff, this was on his desk, and it was dated in February of this year. And I said, why is it still there? Is it something we should be doing? I mean, we need to make sure we have the manpower. This guy behind me, make sure he's committed to a certain schedule. So we dusted it off, changed the dates, made sure that at least we brought it up so that you were aware. We wanted to be able to deliver when you needed us to deliver, and so that's the only reason.
No, listen, you're in business to do business, and you're trying to do business, and that's good. That's what makes it go. I would recommend, though, that you will be presenting that back to us in short order. Go ahead and put in some language in writing so we don't have to vote to modify something saying we don't get the money. We don't know yet. Yeah.
I will tell you, we do that on a regular.
I don't doubt that.
We live to the grant cycles
Sure
that
you
we
do.
are.
Sure you do.
Under, and so.
And you guys have gotten your grant notification back in September, so that's why David is asking, your intent to go to county commission with that, so that we can program all of this. And I put a phone call into Basil. We've already had contacts with him this week. He assures us your grant workbook is coming. My speculation is when Nancy shows back up, the magic button is. But it's okay. Everything is in the process. He's satisfied with what he's seen, and
That's correct.
I was hoping to be able to come into the meeting and tell, say
Yes,
that
thank you, Jimmy,
confidently.
that's very good, because we were waiting on some little engineering something, but I'm glad to hear that it's all squared away.
Don't misinterpret my intentions here. I'm not being pushy, but I want to be responsive for what you're looking for is trying to.
You're just a good businessman, that's why you're so successful.
I would like to think that we're ready when you're ready. and that's-
You will be.
We want to help ease your headache if you're having grant issues or problems. We're in this together, so we want to work it out together.
Thank you very much for
We'll stay
that. We do. Nancy, Steve, and I work really well together. We really do, thank God. And this has been probably the most difficult one I've ever dealt with. But we're there. I mean, it's the first time in
We
10
can't
years
thank
that
Chris
Eric.
enough for such a fine job she's done for us, honest to God. So,
Well, Eric helped me a lot too. I mean, if
But he did.
these change orders could not have been avoided, there's no way. It certainly wasn't anything to do with his decision.
Y'all have
It
been
just get us unlocked,
y'all have been very, very fortunate to get the kind of grant money that you have.
Well, I'm just gonna say, we appreciate the county commissioners. They have been supportive of
Absolutely.
this airport down here for a number of years now, through different administrations. We've had both Republican and Democrat, and they've all been on board with us to help us, Otherwise, we wouldn't have what we got now. And, if any credits to be given, it's be given to the county commissioner, they take the heat, But a lot of people, appreciate our airport and very supportive of it as well. And so they have been great to help us. Otherwise, the saying goes, here up here in the mountains, we'll be shucking on another. Okay. Anybody else got anything? All minds are clear? Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn it right now, 5 o'clock. How about that?
You are excellent.
Got a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All, we're adjourned. Thanks again, David, Jim.
Yes, sir.
You're welcome. Greg, we appreciate you.